What up, guys? My name is Zach. Welcome to the video. Thanks for clicking. Today I want to talk a little bit about a couple of my rigs and some stuff that we're going to do today. I'm sure this is stuff that y'all are familiar with, nothing too crazy, but just kind of finished up this build on what I'm calling the Reaper. And I'm probably not finished, let's be honest. We all know what that's like. This thing has changed every day since I put it together, but it's based on a Scx24 deadbolt chassis. I just got the J-Concepts Creep body and put that together. It's been through a couple different forms already. I've had to chop it up a couple times. Right now it's sitting on Little Guy Racing Parts Swamp Kings. I think those are its final tire. This thing is a monster with those tires. As you can see, I've played with a few different tires so far. Anyway, today on this thing, I'm gonna be changing shocks. I don't know if I'm gonna leave the setup that I have on there or if I'm gonna slap on those long travels, but I have the Hot Racing oil dampened shocks in the rear and some Injora internal spring that I have reversed, but this is the reason that prompted the video. As you can see, the shock unscrewed itself from the post there. So I'm gonna take it apart, put it back together, and I might just switch over to these, the double barrel long travel shocks from Hot Racing. Now that I have these new shock mounting positions from Hard Park on my Goblin chassis, and then throw these oil-filled shocks from Hot Racing on the Gladiator, which is brand new. So I don't know, I'm gonna start playing with it and we'll go from there. We'll see what's going on. So before we dive into that, I think we'll just do a quick overview of this guy, tell you what I've done to it so far. To be honest, there's not really much left from the deadbolt on here. Honestly, I could probably point out the few things that are, and one of those things is gonna change today, but let's start from the basics. So right now I have Trio beadlocks on there with Little Guy Racing Swamp Kings. The Trio beadlocks I like the color a lot. I hate that they come with silver screws. I think it'd look a lot better with the black screws. As soon as I get my hands on a couple, I'll probably swap those out. The powertrain I swapped all for the Komodo brushless setup by Furatech. I love that thing. Let me be honest, I love it. I just wish I went with the micro. I've had nothing but issues mounting everything in here because of that. I know it's part of the game once you kind of get a little wild with your builds, but the micro would have solved a lot of those issues before I ever even got to them. It has the Lizard Pro from Furatech with the Bluetooth module, which has been amazing. The amount of control is insane that I don't even really think I need, but so far it's been great. This thing crawls amazing. Still running the stock transmitter and receiver, as you can see there. Also a pain in the butt. The thing is huge. That'll probably be changed here not long. It's been through several different shocks. Like I said, right now I have the Injora internal sprung in the front and the Hot Racing oil filled in the rear. I swapped out the chassis for Hard Park RC's Goblin chassis, which I like. I like the different mounting positions, the low center of gravity. It really dropped everything down, and it's made the crawling noticeably better. I did a quick little magnet there. Tried to super glue it, didn't want to super glue, and ended up with double-sided tape. And in there, that is double-sided tape as well. Tried super glue, didn't want to stick. If you notice the giant hole in the hood, before I got this chassis, the motor was actually rubbing on the hood. So I had to swap or cut that out to kind of make some room for it. So this body probably won't be the last body on it, but to be honest, I'll probably end up getting another creep body and cutting that thing right from the get-go. This was kind of like my test body. What else do we have? Hot Racing high clearance links, deadbolt links in the rear, C10 links in the front. I still have the Y link for the upper link. I'm going to be swapping that out today for the 4-link setup, just using the same servo mounting point. Shouldn't be too much of a pain in the butt. There's a couple of videos out there on that. And then this, my skid transmission mount, whatever you want to call it. I finally got an aluminum one, so I'll be swapping that out today also. So for what's left, I mean, obviously I have all the brass. I have the 4+4mm axle extensions. I have the brass front and rear on the diff covers. I have brass knuckles. And then I have brass hexes for the wheels also. For my servo, which if you've played with Scx24s for more than a couple minutes or swapped your tires out, added any brass at all, you know that you have to replace that servo. It's just not going to get the job done. So I went with EcoPower's servo, and it's been amazing. Nothing but power when I need it. I haven't locked up these wheels yet. So there that guy is. I had to notch out my grill on this thing to fit the servo. That's after I extended the front end with those C10 links. As you can tell, really stuck out the front end. Definitely helps on the uphill and downhill. So that's my main all-out crawler build, and I just picked this guy up. This is a Jeep Gladiator, obviously, Scx24. It's basically stock. All I've done to it so far is wheels, tires, the +4mm extensions on the front and rear. What else? Those are Treel bead locks also. They're just some extras I had laying around. I have the Little Guy Racing Parts grippers, which are big tires. These are all really big tires, guys. I don't know if you're familiar with these, but these are like the stock tires that come on the Gladiator. Here are some other aftermarket. I think these are Hot Racing rock crawler tires. As you can see, still pretty tiny. And these are the smallest Little Guy Racing tires that they make, because the Swamp Kings are also bigger. As you can tell, I love these tires and wheels. And then, what is it? Little Guy Racing Trail Kings are about the same size as the grippers, especially once mounted. A little bit wider. I don't know. As you can tell, I kind of dig these Little Guy Racing tires. They've worked really well for me so far. So no plans on changing those out anytime soon. So I think that's all I did to this. Also did the servo right away. I knew I was going to be running heavier wheels and tires. So I did the servo, same servo, EcoPower, and the brass hubs, because this thing just wants to flip. So brass hubs, wheels, tires, servo, and I just remounted the shocks to a different spot. Let's see. I took them off the shock tower up there and moved them down there to the frame to give me a little bit of clearance for these tires. And same thing back here. Moved it off of the mount up top, which you can see, and down to the frame. So give me a little bit of clearance for these tires. I still get a little bit of rub on full flex, as you can tell in the back there. I haven't really had any issues with the front rubbing. Looks like it will if you get really extreme, but it's really not heavy enough yet to justify. Well, I'm not sure where I was going with that, but this is one of the main reasons I'm looking at changing out the shocks on this. Is it's just bouncy as all get out, and most of these shocks, the double barrels or those oil filled, will fix that in a hurry. The last thing I want for this is for it to be sitting up like a monster truck. They just don't crawl that well. they'll tip easy. They're real top heavy, especially this thing with that tent and that whole rack in the back. This one I don't intend to go quite as far as I did with the Reaper there. This is going to be a little bit more of a scale build, not full scale, but this one's going to be more, you know, keep it looking pretty and capable at the same time. I've seen a couple really great builds of these where they're super capable. They're not completely slammed down, but they still look really good. They still look like a Gladiator instead of just kind of going full crawler like this. This thing is a monster. Anyway, so let's get into it. I'm gonna start working on the shocks. I'm gonna put my camera here in a different location to give you guys a better view. Don't mind the messy work area. I have dogs and all that stuff, but we'll get it done either way. So stick with me. One last thing before we swap angles here. I forgot to mention, I have this Chameleon brushed motor. This is the first motor that I put in this. It lived in it for probably 2 days before I put the brushless in. So this bad boy is gonna be moving over to the Gladiator. It's gonna find a new home in there. Probably gonna throw that in today also. That thing makes a massive difference. It's a lot less jumpy. You actually get a little bit of low speed, even though it is brushless or brushed motor. But you actually do get a little bit of a slow crawl capability as opposed to the factory brushed motor, which can be a little bit jumpy and doesn't really want to move at low speeds. Anyway, let's change this setup and get into the work. Start wrenching. All right, let's start with the shocks on the Reaper here. Put this guy up there. Here's the original body for this guy. All right, nothing to do but get to it. This part is never the most exciting, so you know what? I think I'm gonna switch over to time lapse to skip through the boring part for you. Man, I wish it was that fast in real life. That's all done. The shocks are done. Definitely get a little bit more travel on the rear, which is fine. This thing is slammed down anyway. The rear's not going to hurt. Maybe a little bit on downhill. Could let the rear unload, but not too worried about that. Worst case, I can slap on some rubber bands or something. But the front end, I really like these internal springs, especially when you flip them upside down and then flip the spring to the opposite mounting position. It's a forced droop setup, which you've seen on a few other channels, I'm sure. But it doesn't let the front unload when you're going up a hill. It'll give you the travel going downhill and over rocks, but it doesn't unload on you and cause you to flip backwards while you're climbing, which is very cool. So those are gonna hang on for a little bit. I'm still not really sold on these. I might have to pick up another set of these. I just really wanted these on the Gladiator. I think it'll be a big difference compared to those stock ones. Also, for example, double barrel long travel versus Hot Racing's oil-filled shocks. As you can tell, it's pretty drastic, the difference, the length. It's about a ½ inch more travel, which is awesome, but it also will make it a freaking monster truck. Also, if you notice, I run mine without springs because I don't want that monster truck stance. It'll sit like this unless under some serious load. I'd rather it sit like this and be able to travel when I need it going over an obstacle. So it's worked for me so far. It's worth a shot if you guys are thinking about trying it. It's just a little bit of work. Gives you a reason to wrench on the truck, which is cool, but that difference is pretty stark. I was gonna possibly throw some springs in and slap it on the Gladiator on the long travel, but I decided not to. I guess if anything, I might end up doing that, but chopping the springs down a little bit to make it ride a little bit lower. But that's that. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I'm also the other eye up there on the shock on both sides. It was going pretty quick for the time lapse, but they both popped off. So I might have to get some blue thread locker on those to avoid that from happening again. We'll see after a couple more sessions out there. Also came up with an extra little O-ring thing. I'm not sure where that came from. I'm sure I'll find out soon. I take this thing apart way too often, but I'll keep that over here until then. What was next on this thing? The 4-link and the skid plate. I think I'm gonna do the shocks on the Gladiator first and then come back to this and do that just to kind of get everything sitting right and then start changing out some metal parts. So I'll be right back. All right, done with the springs on the Gladiator. Good news and bad news. Good news is they fit. Bad news is I have to do it all over again. I'm not gonna put you guys through that, but these springs are just too light. I use the black springs, which are typically the softest spring, but they're a little too soft on this. When I tried them on my deadbolt when I first got it, they would still lift it. I guess it was just a little bit lighter up top, but this one is just fully collapsing those shocks, which is fine for some builds. Some people like that collapse look. It's kind of the same look that I have on my Reaper here, but that's not what we're going for on this. So I'm gonna change those to probably the silver springs, which should be the medium springs. Don't hold me to it. But first I have to track them down. There's some more hiding in here. Either way, we'll move on from that and get back to work on this. And then the motor swap on this. This is turning into kind of a long video, so I might end it here and just show a little crawling action as they are, and then do another video to show those other parts. But I don't know, we'll see. Either way, thanks for watching so far, guys. Stay tuned for a little action on the indoor course. All right, here we are. Put everything back together. Once again, all I've done is fix the front shocks, change the rear on this so far. That one I completely changed the shocks and we're having some sag on it, but we're gonna give it a test run anyway. I have this thing on low mode right now, so. Oh yeah. I can get that rear end flexing for you. This is also on 3S. You can't tell, but there you go. This thing really likes to roll here in this section, so you might see a rollover. All right, let's try a one-handed climb. One hand holding the camera here and the other hand controlling the truck. Sorry, I keep missing it and going back and forth and looking at it to looking at the camera. I'm about to drive right off the table. This driving with one hand thing is not my forte. Let me tell you what, I'm gonna set up the camera here and then I'll do it with two hands. All right, we're back. The part with the logs there, the steep part, actually the guy that I got this course from told me that nobody, as far as he knows, has been able to make it through that, and that spot's been kind of the hardest spot. You just tip backwards. There's really no way to beat that spot. But let's try the Gladiator out. Thing needs that new motor. See how jumpy it is already? All right, just had to reposition the camera a little bit there. Let's try and take it real slow. But you know, if you played with these, that stock motor does not like moving slow. Ooh, nice save. That was close. See what I mean by top heavy on this thing? That's why I'm not too excited about putting some springs on the front. Longer springs, I should say. To get out of that. All right. I'll walk sideways. Start way over there. See if it can come down. Just need you to go slow, man. Start giving a little bit more throttle and then it just jumps. This thing's just kind of doing whatever it wants. Looks good though, I'll give it that. I need to change this motor. I was giving it throttle the whole time you saw it not moving, and then it would finally catch. I think this thing actually could take on that hill the same way that the Reaper did. I just, because of its wheelbase, it's still a little bit longer than the Reaper is right now, but not having any real weight on it is really holding it back. It just wants to tip. I also might take that rack off the rear, at least the tent. I don't know yet. Ooh, I might do it. I had to move the camera a little bit, but let's see. Haven't touched the truck. It's in the same spot you was. So. Oh yeah, check that out. No problem. All right, I'm gonna reposition to the other side over here. There's a kind of a cool spot I like to crawl. I'll show you that real quick before we call it quits here. All right, I'm gonna have to go one-handed again here, but let's give it a shot. It's like a valley. You used to have to pick one side or the other, but now this thing, after everything I've done, can just kind of cruise up it. No problem. Yeah, my Reaper is just a monster the way it's sitting now. All right, let me swap controllers here and we'll try it with the Gladiator. Just started having fun coming off that hill while I'm swapping. I was worried about the rear unloading on these steep descents, but it doesn't seem to be an issue. All right. Let's park that right there, and we'll get this guy going. All right, one-handed with this Gladiator that loves to flip. Might call it flipper. I don't know. We'll see. I do have all my tires vented. It just seems to work better that way. Man, I need longer thumbs. Stick to that right side a little bit. Just kidding, I'm not going to do anything. I've taken the Gladiator up here once before, so I know it's possible. Not today, not there. At least not right now. A little too tough with one hand. I need to get me a new camera holder. All right, that one wasn't gonna work, so let's try this little valley right here. Best way that I found is to ride that ridge that you see on the side. As you can tell, that worked out great. See if we can get that rear tire up. I think that might be part of our problem. We definitely need a little bit more weight up front. Oh, one more shot. And remember, this is one hand, so be gracious. Sorry about the mess. That's some of the stuff from when we moved into this house. Just kind of found its home where it's at right now. Get to it eventually, especially now that I have this course in here. Start making a couple more videos for you guys, free up some of this space so I can keep the vids coming. Oh, that was nice. Here, I don't know if it's going to be able to make this turn, especially because the driver has one hand on the controls. Let's do it. I don't think that's going to happen with one hand. I definitely think you can get through it, but not one-handed. Not right now, at least. All right. Whoa, check that out. Look what it just did. All right, guys, I know it probably wasn't the most exciting video. My first shot, thought I'd give it a go, see how it went. I'll probably get to installing some more of the parts that I had left over, the new motor, the new transmission mount, and 4-link that little Reaper there. But I'll keep you guys following along. I just started an Instagram page. It's called _Reaper RC, REAPER RC. Go check it out. Only have a couple pictures up now, but more coming. Thanks for watching. Thanks for your time. And if you guys want to see anything specific or have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments below. And as always, a thumbs up, subscription is always helpful. Just give it a shot, guys. Thanks for watching. All right, I just tried another line right as I turned off the camera, and I found one that I think is gonna work. Let's try it out. Let's straddle this side instead. Gotta turn early. Oh no. This is where a slow crawl would be fantastic. Ugh, I'm gonna go flying off this table. All right, after my miraculous save, we're gonna try it again. Too far. Can we make it work? There we go. That's what I'm talking about. All right, so we can at least leave on a happy note. I'm not leaving it with that. Anyway, guys, thanks again. I'm out. See you guys again soon. Thanks for stopping by.